everyone, and welcome to Valoranting. I do want to cuss. I personally think that is fucking bullshit. What can I do for you? What can I do for you, dudes? This is the best produced podcast I've ever been in. Welcome back to Valoranting. I'm WTF Moses, joined by Vansili and Veli, and we have an absolutely packed show for you this week. We've had a lot going on in the Valorant community. So first, I have to say hi to the rap god himself, Vansili. Thank you for of course always going above and beyond, waxing the chest hair for the show. How are you feeling?
What's up? This is Vansili. I'm casting with Veli. Do you want to rap god style? No, thanks for having me, man. Listen, it's getting super cold in Canada, Derek. I don't know if you've noticed, but winter's around the corner.
I can confirm by just looking out my window.
COVID, exactly. And in these trying times of COVID, I have to save money where I can, so I'm not putting my heating up already. So I'm just gonna go with the toque and a jacket.
I'm looking forward actually to winter this year, just so everyone can stay the at home for a little while, and then just stay inside and stop this madness. Okay, so we can all go to restaurants and shit again. Veli, how you doing?
Please. I'm doing great, man. I'm gonna be real, Moses. I just finished. I wrapped up my first ever Valorant event. I worked with my man's Vans, right? And it was a blast. This game on a competitive level, especially when you're a part of it, is so special, dude. But I'm excited as hell for Valorant today.
Yeah, no, it's fun to watch, especially when you're like if you're hosting or something like that, and you're just kind of sitting there watching the games and listening to the cast. You get like a front row seat essentially to the whole thing, and it's really fun to be a part of. And I hope we get more events soon. Riot. Anyway, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's talk about actually Riot. So developer communication. We had some more Ask Valorant happening over the last week. And some stuff here, it's mostly around like performance history, combat score, and a new way to buy skins. The thing that everyone's always asking, how do we buy some more skins? So there's nothing in here that I was particularly interested in. How to get yourself a gold star. That's always good. Is it true there's an extra importance on frags when it comes to getting a good combat score? Maybe, but you have to read the Ask Valorant thing to find out. Well, your combat score indicates how well you performed in core combat during the game. It's not 1-to-1 with performance calculations and your rank updates. There you go. I read it for you. I'm really interested in getting a specific weapon skin, but it feels I'll be able to buy a skin directly. Starting patch 1.0, you'll be able to buy stuff directly. Why don't any of the melee skins have variants? I think it would look really good, especially on Sovereign and Spline. Okay, mostly skin stuff. Believe me, if you have questions or concerns about skins, Riot is going to get you a way to get those skins. Yes. And then finally, is HRTF going to come? And the answer is, hold on, what is the answer? I didn't see what the answer was. Maybe?
Yes.
I don't know. We'll find out. HRTF is a worthwhile endeavor and plan to be in work on implementation soon. Okay, cool. Sounds good. HRTF coming soon. Thanks, Peter.
Can we explain that real quick? Because I found that actually amazing. Like, just real quick, like, explain what it is to the viewers. It's mind-blowing.
I have no idea what it is. Why would you do that to me?
Okay.
I don't know what HRTF means. I just try to turn it on.
One of the producers, he was like, you guys do know what HRTF is, right? And I was like, hell nah. And so he explained
I don't know what it is. It's
like, literally,
hold on. High resolution tactical frequencies. Okay. No? Okay, I was close.
Is it? Maybe.
It's close.
I don't know. Maybe. So basically, in real life, graphics are amazing here. When something comes from behind the way our ears are, we get a delay from the sound. And they're putting that in the actual game to where it mimics real life. Not that you hear it instantly, because that's unrealistic. I never knew that was a thing. That's actually, I guess the nerd in me is amazed by that. So yeah, next topic.
Yeah, I think what's cool about that at least is the whole 90-degree thing, right? So, like, for example, I think that we had the issues with the audio so far with Valorant, that if you're listening to what's in front of you at 45 degrees or what's behind you at 45 degrees, it could come from the same area. So adding the HRTF and the lag behind your ears and stuff like that too adds a little bit more, makes it a little bit more realistic. Because you playing PUBG, for example, here, Moses, or me playing Counter-Strike, whenever you're hearing footsteps, you kind of turn your crosshair towards the wall of like, okay, it's actually coming from this side. So I think now you basically have a better idea of where the opponents are coming from. which is actually really cool. If not, besides that, in terms of the rest of the stuff for As Valorant, skins is skins, cool, variants is cool, but I want to know if we're actually going to be allowing to just purchase the variant that we want. What about all the variants in the past that I had to spend through to get the one that I actually want? Do I get my points back for that?
No,
I spend money.
I can tell you that the answer is no. They're not. That's not how this works. You know, you have to continue to buy shit until we tell you to stop. We also have. We actually have some words from Pwith, I believe his name is. So I just want to mention, and this is Pwith talking about feedback and probably just related to Reddit anger. I just want to mention that yes, we love feedback, and we don't want anyone to just assume we know best, especially if they're suffering or frustrated. That said, I don't think it's about everyone just yelling feedback everywhere. I do disagree with Valve's approach because if you don't know what they want to do or what challenges they have, how can you give valid feedback? What we want is a dialogue, and right now I think a lot of people are approaching our conversations like they're the final word. We just want to give context on our thinking and explain some of our limitations. Okay, I don't need to read the rest of this because he's basically saying constructive criticism is good, raw criticism is bad. And don't be an asshole about it. So yeah, so I mean, essentially, like, yeah, Valve doesn't do it very well, but also Valve has probably done themselves a favor by just basically saying, we don't give a shit what you think, we're just gonna do what we want. So I mean, we are the ones who have all these massive esports under our belts, not to mention we're one of the most, you know, profitable and lucrative gaming companies ever to exist. So excuse me, Redditor, if I don't take your fucking advice. So it's like as far as Riot's concerned, then yeah, I mean, it's nice. The idea is nice, of course, to be able to have open discourse where everyone treats each other fairly. It's like, oh yes, good sir, very good suggestion. Let's all talk about it at a later date. No, it's like, oh my God, remember when he said that there was going to be no agent abilities that killed people? Remember when they said that? Oh God, that's not true. Let's just keep trotting that fucking tweet out every 10 minutes. You know, like that's the reason. That's the reason why we don't have civil discourse, is because of that dude, whoever keeps retweeting that shit over and over again. So yeah, shout out to Riot. There's also we have some actually Prime loot. Let's see this. Let's see what this looks like. Oh, so sure. we have some Prime gaming loot. So that's always good. Prime Twitch Prime integration is always good, or Prime Gaming, whatever the hell they're calling it these days. Basically, if you have Amazon Prime, you'll get some Gun Buddy sprays and some other stuff. Any skins? We're teaming up with Prime Gaming to provide in-game items like Gun Buddy sprays and whatever to players for free. No skins, though. You have to pay for those things, you fucks. All right. So we also have a developer talking about skins. Let's see the next bit here. I can't recall exactly why would you not include a skin, by the way, Van Stilling? Why would you not put a freaking skin in there? Like, why can't we just throw a skin in?
Buy them. You're right. The buddies is cute. Like the buddy thing is cute because right now you actually can't buy buddies, but now that you have to buy skins, that's how they make their money. You gotta make them. Oh, I got a buddy. Now it's on a vanilla skin. Doesn't look that great. Oh my God, I could have now this new Prime skin that I could put it on as well. Like, I'm actually talking about the actual Prime skin.
Get Lauren a skin wherever the hell she is. She's like Carmen Sandiego. When we actually locate where Lauren is, we're gonna have to get her a Prime skin. So this is the next. Yeah, it's a good look at, like, listen, it's not hard. Make good skins, people will buy them. That's the way it goes. And I wish games like PUBG had figured that out earlier. But that's a really cool gun buddy.
That's what I'm saying, man. I love that buddy. And the thing is, it's like a lot of people were like, oh, when the hell are we gonna have nice Vandal skins? And I think the Sakura Vandal was probably the last nice one that we had. But now that you have these ones, oh my God, there's gonna be so many people buying this pack for this skin for the Vandal now. It's actually beautiful.
All a game, Van Silly. First of all, they make the Phantom super overpowered. They put out a bunch of Phantom skins. You buy all the Phantom skins, okay? You get all the Phantom skins, and then all of a sudden it's just like, oh, time to buff the Vandal, I guess. And all of a sudden there's a bunch of Vandal skins. All of a sudden there's a bunch of Vandal skins, and they're really sick. So they got you on a yo-yo, Van Silly. They're gonna be draining that wallet. They're gonna be draining that wallet every single damn day. So, and you know what? God bless them. It's one of those situations where if you make something enticing enough, supply and demand, people will buy it. So, I'm excited, man. It's always good to see cool skins. And shout out to the people who are spending hundreds of dollars on them. Keep the dream alive out there. Veli, what do you? I mean, any thoughts? I didn't really. I kind of glazed over you a little bit there, but any thoughts on the general?
this is just like, this is a moment where I'm just sitting here just in awe, and I want to see their quarterly reports. I want to see how much money that they've made on this game, because every game I go into,
not going to happen.
Dude, people have every skin known to man. It's insane. $100 a person. How many people play this game? It's crazy. It's madness. They're doing it right.
I asked the dude back in the day. Is this guy named Alex. He now works at Blizzard for Call of Duty, but he was working at PUBG, but he had come from Riot, or at least in the Riot ecosystem, where they basically they value players based on the amount of money they spend on average. And they say that for a free-to-play game, any amount of money over like $5 is a win. So there's obviously going to be a huge band of people that obviously spend more than $5. But for a free-to-play game, if you can get $5 out of them, considering how many players probably churn through that ecosystem, you're making money. And I imagine that Riot, considering their stature in the global esports landscape, is probably doing okay. Roster moves. Let's talk about it. We have some roster moves from the previous week. The big one was Venerated's nothing tweet about my new team is nuts, but it actually turned out to be Luminosity Gaming, and as it turns out, their team is pretty good. So I'm not even going to attempt to say what I don't know how to say this dude's names. Shashay and Venerated.
KZ.
If you ever want to be famous in esports, don't make your name just all vowels. So as far so Venerated and actually they signed the whole roster as well. So they have a Proto, Stellar, and Thief. A lot of 9s in there. Loving the 9s. We have a lot of the only person without we need some more numbers in Venerated and a Proto's name, but maybe throw a 0 in there. Proto, get with the program. So we'll talk about the context of this team in a little bit when it comes to the tournament results. But Van Silly, for you guys just watched this team perform. What were your thoughts initially?
Really good, actually, to see that they dropped Hoppin, and I forgot who was the fifth that they dropped, but picking up KZ and picking up Venerated was huge for the team. When you're looking at Thief before, when he actually tried out for Immortals and he played as a Cypher and tried out as a Cypher, he wasn't putting up those numbers and he wasn't comfortable in that position. But now that he's switching over to an Omen, this guy was top fragging. A Proto as a Cypher is actually now one of the best Cyphers I've ever seen in North America. Billy could attest to that. Adding Venerated now with KZ. KZ is like a jet op main coming from CLT Phoenix /Rise. So now they could have a double op setup with KZ and Venerated if they needed to in dire situations. I think this lineup is looking amazing for the future of Luminosity Gaming and for their performances in future events.
Likely an economical choice as well, Valley.
Oh, really good economical choice, because I mean, we're the biggest name on this roster. It's not some big time CS person that's going to get paid $20,000 a month, right? But you take a look at Venerated. We knew who Venerated was on 100 Thieves. We knew that it was unfair. They didn't get a good look for 100 Thieves, right? When they removed him from the roster. But him and KZ to Luminosity, when we saw that team place top 2 at the post event last week, they're special. KZ, he is like this highlight player that's just so flashy and so risky. When you watch him play, you wonder how well. No, you wonder if he can pull that shit off against those tier 1 teams we're used to seeing all the time. I want to see a tournament with Luminosity in it, because Venerated, a Proto is he's a walking 30 bomb, 20 bomb Cypher. This team is special, man. So there's a lot of great showing from Luminosity. They're one of my favorite teams now.
I think with the if I were to pick a model for this kind of team, I would hope that they try and follow the Gen G path, where they really focus on synergy and mechanics and strategy versus just balls to the wall fragging for which is what really happens a lot in the tier 1 scene. So I would love to see them follow that path of just really working on synergy and strategy and using that to lever themselves into the tier 1 discussion, I should say. So we'll see how it goes. So, I mean, it's very early days. They've just completed their roster. That's why we're talking about it this week. So we've only had one tournament for them so far. So based on the results that we saw, it is a promising team. And obviously, I'm always rooting for Venerated to succeed, especially in an environment where it's going to be a better fit for him. And obviously, when you have a young player or a group of young players going into a 100 Thieves situation, it's like the NBA. It's like bringing a high school kid into the NBA. Like you could have a Kevin Garnett, or you could have all the thousands of players that washed out of the NBA in their first year. We also have Envy.
Brown.
I have some thoughts. Some Kwame Browns. I mean, Michael Jordan ruined that guy, but that's a discussion for another day. So we have Envy making an interesting change. I have some thoughts on this. They picked up Crashies and Food. And they have benched essentially Akis and Calypso. Now, I don't I like the fact that they're looking to stay competitive and they want to make changes and stuff like that. But I mean, they just picked this roster up. Like, it feels like 3 weeks ago we were talking about the fact that this is a solid roster. It was Together We Are Terrific. They had some decent results in the tier 1 level. They have this signing from Envy. And then, like, what feels like less than a month later, they're changing out 2 of their players. Now, I don't have the stats in front of me to say why or why not this isn't a good fit. But Crashies and Food are coming off this dumpster fire of a T1 situation, whereas Envy was a team that was the opposite. They stayed together. They stuck to their guns. They got signed. Calypso has had a lot of good moments, at least memorable moments in tournaments. What that translates to as far as inter-team dynamics and long-term performance, I don't really know. But it really doesn't feel like Envy took a lot of time with this roster before deciding to jump onto a 2-player roster move, which is really strange. So unless there's something we just simply don't know, or if I haven't been keeping up with the drama, I really don't understand this move fully. Vansili, maybe you have some insight.
I think now when you're looking at Food and Crashies leaving T1, I think that was like a normal thing because, maybe the synergy wasn't right for that team and they're looking for firepower, something maybe in like Envy. When you're looking at the meta change of now the Breach being buffed or them losing Calypso, what's going to happen with this roster? I think dropping Akis at that point, when you look at the past history of the agents that he's played, was basically a Sentinel with a Killjoy or a Sage. And now that Sage has been nerfed to their ground, maybe now they're looking for different ways to change the composition and the meta how they want to change, how they want to play. So if you bring in Crashies, who's a great Cypher, then you actually allow now a great in-game leader such as FNS focus really on calls more than looking at the abilities of Cypher at the same time. Because if you're looking at, for example, JC Stanny, is doing the same thing for Immortals. Came back as a smoke player, and now he's able to call and even put up numbers as well. So I think you're trying to switch over what's best in terms of synergy for the agent composition that you want to move forward with, while still wanting to keep Cypher in your rotation. So with that, unfortunately, some people had to take the shorter end of the stick, Akis being one and Calypso being the other. And I think still adding Crashes and Food is a good thing because when they first joined 100 Thieves, we even talked about them on Valoranting, saying that this was a good pickup because we wanted some young up-and-coming fraggers, some hungry fraggers for the team too. And maybe these two, although maybe they didn't have great results for 100 Thieves, they'll do great results with Envy instead.
Absolutely. Veli, I want to talk to you about this, but Daniel, I've just posted a clip in the Discord. Can we pull that up really quick? It's Zelsis talking about a couple of people that we're talking about right now. I'm not sure if we can have a hot swap there, but I mean, looking at just before we get into this discussion, looking at just from a team performance, Vansili, do you think that Envy was underperforming to the point where they think that maybe a roster move was necessary?
No, they weren't. I mean, they got second place right at the last event that they played at, so they were looking really, really good in terms of synergy and fragging power and whatever they had before the changes of the meta. So yes, there could be some other things behind the scenes that are happening, but we don't have those insights.
Okay, well, it appears we can't get the clip in just yet because I wish we had this earlier to talk about, but I did find it, and it's a clip of Zelsis, a former professional CS:GO player, basically naming Calypso as a potential person who was implicated in this match fixing situation. So if we were to look behind the scenes and say, well, why would they want to make this move right now? It seems out of left field. Well, that would probably be a pretty good reason. So if Zelsis is openly saying this dude's name, I can imagine that it's pretty rampant information behind the scenes as well. And Envy would have had that conversation with them and likely the ESIC as well. And if he's anywhere near this, we said this before, teams like Envy and all these guys are going to shed themselves these players immediately. So this is probably a suspension pending situation for Calypso and Akis. But maybe the Food and Crashy situation will be good. Vela, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts, it didn't make sense to me. It happened during the event. I think it was Doug that broke the news to me too. And I was like, okay, what? They just got second place. This was a team that we saw in the top 4, top 5 range. We're like, all right, this is a team we like. They're gonna get better, and we can't wait to see the progress happen. Then they make a team change, and it's a drastic one. So then you question, is this behind the scenes? Because it's not productivity. Because after getting second place, you don't say, oh, finally made it top 2. Let's get you two the fuck up out of here. Like, that's not the way esports or just business or sports work, right? This match fixing thing, something has to come to light. I don't like guessing. I don't like guessing, but I am under the belief that this match fixing thing is going to cause a huge shuffle, and we're not even halfway done. Put your hand down, man.
Yes, man, silly.
Yeah.
What do you have to go to the bathroom? You can just go. You're an adult.
No, well, it's true, and I am at home. We had this discussion before. No, but I really want to clear the air at the same time too, because yes, Zelsis probably said a couple of names in the clip and stuff like that too. I'm sure you guys could find on Reddit and stuff like that as well. But whenever
put it in the chat.
Yeah, we put it in the chat. You guys could see it there too. And Calypso's name was probably said in that video too. But when you're looking at these two players being put under reserve under Envy, let's make it clear at least that Akis wasn't one of the players that actually did get accused for that for match fixing as well. So I just want to clear his name out there. Was he called in the clip?
No, he wasn't called in the clip. But I mean, just because he wasn't called out in the clip doesn't mean that he couldn't be implicated. I mean, like, were they not playing together, Calypso and Akis, beforehand?
That I wouldn't know in the CS:GO, but Calypso usually was playing more with like French Canadian teams, so I don't want to get further into that rumor. But that being said, I think after when they got benched, Akis even put it out. Hey, like he even tweeted out, by the way, guys, like the benching stuff, it's not about me match fixing or any allegations coming through. Like I support him on that one, so I want to make sure that
fair enough. Did Calypso say the same thing?
On that one. Calypso did not say the same thing, and I will get ready for a change of topic here, Moses.
Are you nervous? Don't be nervous. I mean, I think
I don't like the rumor mill. I don't like the rumor mill.
Right. I love the rumor. What are you doing, bro? Like, this is the rumor mill. I just feed into this shit. This is like this is how I get my drama every week. No one's to be trusted. Everyone is match fixing. No, it's exciting like a car accident where you're like, hopefully no one's hurt, but I really want to look at this. Like I just
that's perfect.
Oh my God.
It's like so I mean, we'll see. Time will tell. We'll see, and we'll also see. I'm interested to know how this team performs. We'll find out. Let's talk 100%. About energy. This is another fun topic for me because let's just let the just for a brief bit of context, we'll let the CEO explain it. Energy does not like the cost of entry to Valorant. That is the preface. Let's watch the video from the CEO.
Okay. For me, super interested in Valorant. We've always obviously been looking around at it, trying to see how the space evolves. Didn't want to get in early. This is a lot of hype. Again, this is another trough of despair. Like you see teams like the Sentinels, for example, who aren't in any of the other major games. They jump in and they pay exorbitant salaries for their players, which sets a market rate, which doesn't make sense, especially for a game which is just evolving. And who knows if those guys will still be here in 6 months. I'm sure they will. Sinatra and those guys are great, but you get the point. So that one's been tough. So we decided to take a step back and see how things are evolving. Every day we have a new opportunity and there's interest, but it's something we're checking out. And then League would be wonderful someday, somewhere. I think we'll.
Okay. And we do have a follow-up, and then we'll dive right into the discussion. We have this CEO posting again. That's Andy Miller, the dude who was just talking. They're talking about that they're trying to enter Valorant. The space is crazy right now. Costs are through the roof. I think we want to take our time and build from the ground up. Put pieces together like we did with Shock to build a sustainable winner, also known as cheaper than just buying a bunch of players. We are working on it. We are not looking for a press release or an immediate answer to tell our investors what we are doing with their money. Okay, fair enough. It can be expensive. Gaming can be expensive, Van. I don't know if we have the ability, Daniel, to pull up the Energy website. I want to see what kind of teams they have. If we could maybe pull that up really quick. I would love to see their website, because I think I remember that they have the San Francisco Shock. What team is that? I believe that's an Overwatch League team.
Overwatch.
How much does it cost to get into the Overwatch League? I think it was something like $20 million. And then there's also, they got that discount because then obviously when you're in bed with Activision, they want to get you on like they do with what they do with like ISPs. Like if you have your phone service as well as your internet and mobile, we're going to give you a discount. So why not get yourself a nice Call of Duty League franchise? Also, $15 million for a combined rate of $40 million, and they don't want to get into Valorant because they have an Apex team and this monstrosity of an Activision deal where they are locked in. And I mean, I did browse through the Energy website. They have a dude on their Call of Duty team called X-Tupac Thug Lord. Okay,
don't disrespect Tupac Thug Lord.
He looks like me, okay, Belly? He looks like me with a hat on, okay? So, I mean,
oh, man.
Yeah, so I don't fully understand.
That scum guy? That scum guy?
No. Their teams are good. Their teams are good.
Cover, like,
and that is outside of team salary. That is just the cost of admission to get into the Call of Duty and Overwatch League is $40 million. And also pay all your players and all the things that surround that franchise. So they're probably like, we don't want to have to explain to our investors why we're spending so much money on a Valorant team when we're spending probably $50 million over here for these two teams. You know, like we don't have to be like, have to explain to them because they're all on like on various boards all over the place. Like, you know, whatever. It doesn't matter. Whatever. It's their money. They can do what they want. But to say it's too expensive while simultaneously fielding an Overwatch and Call of Duty League team is a little silly, in my opinion. Vansili, what are your thoughts?
I think that's what it is, though. I think because the costs are way too high for Overwatch and Call of Duty, they have to like cut somewhere. And at the same time, when you're trying to get like these big investors to invest into your organization, well, you want to make sure that you're going to be able to return somewhere, at least some guaranteed returns of. For example, now that you're franchising in Call of Duty and also in Overwatch, you'll come back next season. You'll come back the next season. So the money is not going to be maybe lost at that point. But then you're going to pay for a CSGO team before where you don't know. Like, for example, if they perform well or if they perform badly, then who knows if they're going to be invited at other events within that circuit within the next year or not when they drop out of the top 10, top 15 or whatnot, you know? So I think when it comes down to that kind of cost or where it makes sense of a business perspective, then they want to look more towards where they invested a shit ton of millions of dollars instead of just the salaries and the airfares of these players going from CSGO and Valorant into the open circuit.
I think the Call of Duty League is a better proposition from an esports perspective than Overwatch League is, because Call of Duty has a long history of esports. Not to mention they have the names, the fan base, and for Energy specifically, they have Hector, who was the other dude not talking in the video, who is OG, triple OG, literally OG. He was Optic Gaming through and through, and I mean that guy knows what's up with COD and content and all the things as well. And really, they don't have to explain anything to us. But I mean, I don't understand why they would look at Valorant as a potential negative value proposition. When they have Overwatch League, which, to your point, Vansili, you just said, they have to keep coming back. They don't get to just leave the Overwatch League. They paid their $15 million and they're in. So their team can suck balls and they still have to keep coming back and paying whatever players to play in the league because God bless them, in for a penny, in for a pound. You're not going anywhere. So yeah, that's probably the CEO. Like, I have to explain to my investors where their money's going because half of it's on fire in the Overwatch League.
Jesus.
Oh man.
Anyway, Veli, thoughts on the situation here with what's that?
What's up?
Sinatro is playing for San Francisco Shock, right? So at least they got that one out of it.
Yeah. They lost. They lost him to Valorant.
They lost to Valorant. Oh my god! I just thought about that.
Yeah, he's probably like, we don't want to invest in Valorant because we're pissed off about Sinatra. He totally us there, didn't he? Anyway, so as far as Valley, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts are, if you're going to be paying the type of money you're paying to scop in the rest of those players on that roster along with Overwatch, why is Valorant a question mark right now? Especially when it comes to salary. Why are you scared of Valorant's salary? Now, I'm not in their pockets. I don't know about their business dealings, but it seems like we're going to be in those two leagues. Valorant is pretty much a no-brainer. We all know what Riot's all about. We know that Valorant is going to be a really high competitive game. So what's the wait? The only thing that's going to happen now, especially with all these new roster changes in this current shuffle happening, you're going to miss out on even more players that can be acquired for you to start your roster. So, I mean, the longer you wait now, I mean, are you waiting for that super natural Valorant Pro a year from now? I don't know. But it's not like NRG, they're broke for dollars. They got money. So what is the actual wait? Are they waiting on a big name? They got Shaq money. So are they waiting on a super big name right now, or just waiting on a team in general? That's the question I'm asking myself at the moment.
No, they're probably the well is probably a little bit dry right now, considering how much money they've probably spent in the last fiscal year on two massive leagues.
Yeah, but I think if they want to start somewhere, and as Veli was saying, like all these teams are getting picked up already or have already been picked up. I think if they want to start now, then when we looked at the tier 2 events or the tier 2 teams that are up and coming so far, I know Odorous, shout out to him, he's in the chat, but I was actually just going to mention it after Veli's like, who else do you have left to be able to pick in North America right now? And I think Morning Light is one of those teams that if you actually just want to test the waters and see how it goes for your branding or whatnot for energy into the scene, then start with the tier 2 or tier 3 team and try to build that up. I mean, look at Jason Lake with Complexity. Like when he first started, he never went for like the Fraud and the Storm and the Warden right away. He went with the Yoshi and Sasok at the beginning, and then also
listen, 2005. Can we keep our references this decade, please?
Yeah, I'm here. And now with CS:GO, he picks up like Blame F and Rush, and like, hey, they didn't have good results when they first started off, but look at them today in CS:GO, right? So I think if you want to build from the start with a small team. It's not going to cost as much in terms of salaries versus what you pay versus a tier 1 and a superstar players right now. Or if you want to go into the superstar players right now, don't look at NA. Look at Europe. Europe needs so much support right now in terms of teams getting picked up to keep that scene alive, because so far it's just Ignition Series with 4 to 6 teams invited and nothing happening in terms of good formats that can help these teams continue to move forward and play well in Europe.
Yeah, I hear you, and I think it's a, and we got to move on really quick here, but to kind of put a cap on this, when it comes to Europe and CS, it's all CS in Europe. They're the best teams. They're they win the tournaments. NA is not a joke in CS, but they certainly aren't the top region. So to look at the dichotomy of the two esports, everyone who had a chance in North American Counter-Strike went to Valorant, which is why North American Valorant is so strong. Whereas everyone in CS in Europe stayed in CS for the most part, and then they have to kind of build their scene up from the ground up with some perennial stars like Mixwell, for instance. And look at what happens to a team like G2 when they pick up a bunch of great CS players. They're dominant. I imagine that as time goes on and more players either make a choice between Valorant and CS, it's going to get better in Europe. But for a team like Energy, they have Asu, who's just a streamer. I really don't see them making a splash in Valorant anytime soon if they're going to be just kind of dipping one toe in the pool and not really fully committing. So we'll see what happens. We have, speaking of teams, which is the best segue I could come up with at the time, Cloud9 voice comms. Speaking of teams, let's I want to listen to this. We have some voice comms from C9, which should instigate some interesting discussion. So let's hear, this is C9's Pop Flash comms. Let's hear it.
Stop the plant, stop the plant.
10 seconds, guys.
Side, front side. Yep. Front side.
Nice job, Josh.
Nice.
Josh,
let's
here.
go,
Josh.
No.
Stop the camera.
Nice.
Nice.
One more. Two. Both.
Can you hide? One hurt.
Nice,
Skyler. Let's go, guys.
156 and 1. Why do I use the Vandal?
Pick it one. Two there. Right
there.
Come on. Nice.
Literally just shredded them.
Let's go.
Again.
Nice.
I'll get this guy.
Pushing you, Mitch. Nice, Mitch.
I'm coming
Inside,
shower,
2, 3. Back up.
You all dead, yeah?
I have my drone.
Could be triple?
Wait.
Guys behind two of them.
No way. Triple one. Paranoying.
Nice.
Am I loading real quick?
I think you can lock the bomb.
Should tap bomb. You tap it? He has your, this is short Asa. One more, Goose.
Literally terrifying.
Nice!
What are these guys?
Nice,
Nice job.
Oh my god, dude.
They're so scared of you, man. Let's
Shit.
go, man.
Fucking
They're literally
shit.
shaking their little
back
boots.
here.
So
The amount of shit talk.
it's not even that bad, okay? Like, I don't think it's that bad at all. I think that they were. I think they were doing a good job of encouraging each other. I don't want to talk about it at all. I want to do it a comparison. Let's watch Sentinels now.
Through, but they'll get site presence and they will place this spike down.
Don't smoke it.
Yeah, I'm flanking guys.
I have a flash.
Wait,
Some flash one now.
Now?
Flashing spawn once.
Flashing spawn?
Yeah, naded.
One
Worried
heaven.
about Jay. One spawn, one heaven. I have spawn right now. I have spawn.
I have heaven drop. I have heaven drop.
Oh, he's gonna do the catch play. What a big play there from Mitch. He gets one kill. He's looking for another. The flash, it connects. It's gonna force him back.
Underbelt. Default.
Site. Default. What's hit for 75? Hit for 75. No! Holy fuck. Oh my god. What the fuck is that? That flank was insane. Oh my god.
You played that beautifully. I knew we won the round as soon as I watched you.
Holy
I was telling Zoms to flash so they come
on. Yeah, that is hard. Oh my god.
I don't give a fuck how we won it. We came back.
We come out the mud every time.
We played the first game today. We were tired as fuck, and we still came back on a shitty first match.
Yeah, I actually had zero sleep, bro. That was crazy.
We're so much fucking better than these guys. It's not even funny.
Even though we make mistakes, we win.
That was insane.
In the back.
Careful garage. It's open. Jay, you want to drone garage or something?
One close left.
No.
One sewer upping and one. I'm here.
I smoked front garage.
We can flash beat this if you want.
I go garage. Mopping window. Once anything see. Bomb down.
I'm gonna.
Blind
dead. Oh, I hit him for 50. I'm getting back. Oh, he's up sewer.
Where's bomb?
On site. Long.
One site. Bomb is long. I have a smoke and flash wave. Put a trip spawn.
I'm darting.
I can flash all of default when I get close.
One under boat.
One under boat. I'm gonna flash default. Ready? Do it.
Yeah.
Flashing default now. I'm gonna smoke long.
Go. Oh, I can drone.
Oh, we're close right. Close right.
Close right hit. I don't know what. I'm jumping out. Nice. No, we don't.
Unknown.
We're flying.
Oh, he knows he gets to play with a node in here. The shadow step to the right. I don't know if that was heard.
Nice! Oh my god, I just sat that kid down.
I guess he flame walled and crossed the Phoenix. Yeah, he crossed right.
Oh my god, I just sat this kid down.
They have 5 fucking ults, dude.
Honestly, even trades on this map aren't bad.
To Sinatra. The bird is clean, finds the headshot and a quick whip to the right.
Okay, having listened to this a second time, I actually think they're pretty similar. I think that is, you know, it's cool to listen to. My initial take on it was that it seemed that C9, and this is just like armchair analysis based on like a tiny little fraction, but like it kind of seemed that like the C9 trended towards more like positive, like you're sick type of thing versus Sentinels, which is like these guys are bad, which is just like whatever, who cares? React how you want. You're doing cool shit. No one gets to say how you want to react to it. So, and Silly, what are your thoughts first on the team comms we just heard?
I just think it's great to look at how under the fire, under the moment, in the spur of the moment on retakes when they have to hold sites or when they're trying to retake, the way that they just speak to each other real quick, the intense moments and stuff like that too. But when you actually see that the situation's calm, the communications for both of these teams actually of how they want to play it. It's like, okay, I'm playing this right now. I'm setting up this right now. I could set up a play for you. So every person that actually has a role to play within the composition that they have for the agents, they're playing it well. So when you're looking at tier 1 caliber teams like this is the type of communication that you should definitely be encouraging and also supporting when you're like that type of coach that wants to help like a tier 2 or a tier 3 get to the top. So it's great to have. I think rounds that you lose as well, definitely like you don't shut up, right? You just continue and work into the next rounds. We don't get to see those rounds, but I'm sure that when you're watching these type of players play at that level, is that, yeah, you lost a round, don't beat yourself up on it. You have to pick it up and continue having vocal communication with your team.
Okay. Veli, thoughts on the comms here?
There's something that I preach every single day. I'm streaming, playing a video game, or talking about video games. There's a certain way you talk in game if you want to be a winner. Now, whenever you jump in a ranked game, you listen to scrims of tier 2, tier 3 teams and shit. Non-stop talking, long-winded sentences, and it's like, yo, do what Sentinels do what Cloud9 do. quick call out. Hey, coming up behind you, paranoid, like something like that. And then if they're in a 1v1, please, for the love of God, shut the entire fuck up. Like there wasn't a case, and those 1v1s were rather than just tap it. People were trying to backseat game. The comms were beautiful, but I love the fact that both of these teams, especially Cloud9, after they went around, it's just like, yo, we're so much fucking better than these guys. It just shows that they know how good they are, man. It's so good to see. I love seeing personality from teams. It adds so much more depth to them, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it is. It's something to latch on to as well, and it's always good as fans to be able to get that insight. I mean, it's always good content. There's very few times where even if it's like I don't know, crass or super hype or whatever, it's just fun to hear the personality because that's what we don't get to experience as fans. That's as close as we're gonna get to being in the game and experiencing what these guys are. So more of that. Literally everybody who is capable of getting that kind of stuff. So shout out to Cloud9 and Sentinels for putting that out, by the way. We have one more segment before we go to our break, and this one is going to be super fun. This is related to the all-female tournament, the FTW tournament that just came out, and we're going to get some hot Reddit reactions from people regarding this tournament, and we'll start with the good, and we'll go all the way through the bad and the ugly. Let's start with the good, though.
So good.
Hey, I've seen you and Annie talking about Annie Dro on Myth Stream. Good luck, y'all. I'll be rooting for you. Oh, that's nice to hear. Well, that's good. I bet there's more comments like that. Let's see the next one. Since when do tier 2 teams deserve such large prize pools? The event was previously announced only as a $10,000 all-women invitational a week ago. It got backed with Ignition and now became a $50,000 all-women Ignition tournament. This is the first tournament to be announced as non-Ignition and got the treatment later on. Pop Flash is no longer the last NA Ignition unless plans can be changed. So this is basically got upgraded.
Does it matter?
Shout out to Hesketh. This guy Hesketh, by the way. This dude was a big deal, or was always posting and keeping track of the PUBG scene. So good to see him moving on. And we also have well, it's the ugly. I want to read this one verbatim. And it's always good when it starts like this. I have nothing against females. I actually fucking love females. They're the best thing on this godforsaken earth, but I can't help but wonder how this event would have been perceived if the genders were swapped around. An all-male only tournament? Oh, believe me, the word sexism would have been thrown around a million times.
What's the problem with that, Moses? Can you please just lay it out straight, man?
If you start your sentence with, I have nothing against females, I actually fucking love females, you better believe that comment is going south in a hurry because there's a big transition. They are the best thing on this godforsaken earth. Like, I can really go armchair psychiatry here, but this guy is like, maybe you could say something like, I don't have any problem with all women tournaments or something like that, but he specifically zeroes in on the entire gender of females. You know, it's like,
he literally said,
as someone who's observed females from a distance for a long period of time in vans, through coffee shop windows, and on long bus rides, I can tell you that I have no problem with females, having never interacted with one directly. Let me now give you my opinion on this tournament that's happening. Like, give me a fucking break. Okay, it was great. I'm glad that we were able to see that. That is the most Reddit shit I've ever seen in my life. How do we know if you love women unless you say it in a Reddit post? That's a really good question, Ian, the producer. You have to really explicitly say that in the Reddit post.
Yes.
Oh my God.
God damn it. All right. On that happy,
bro.
It's hard to hide. It's hard to hide that when it's just like, having touched many boobs in my life, let me tell you, boobs are my favorite thing. Anyway, let's talk about going to break right now because that's enough of Reddit for one day. We'll be back in just a little bit. We're going to be jumping into that women's tournament. We'll be talking about all the results as well as the G2, another G2 victory in the most recent Blast Invitational / Twitch Invitational / G2 is winning all the tournament invitational. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Valoranting. We have some esports news. I'm joined here with Vansili and Veli, and we have the all-women's tournament, which we just talked about before the break, to go over. So Magical did come out on top. That's the team of Annie Dro. I'm pretty sure that says Jazzykins. Katsumi,
Yep.
you're not going to get me on that one,
Yes.
Ian. Katsumi, Alexis Marie, and Mel. So yeah, it's definitely Jazzykins. That could have gone horribly wrong. So congratulations to them. That's a $50,000 win, and I'm not sure. I didn't have a chance to take a look at this tournament with all the other conflicts that were happening, but I want to watch the VODs because this team apparently owned. So let's talk about it, Van Silly. What did you happen to catch any of this?
I was going back and forth between hosting the Pulse and this as well. So hopefully, if Pulse is listening to me, they don't fire me over it. But I thought it was awesome to watch actually because I love the fact that for the women put this together and want to continue to push forward the female community or the women's community rather in all of these games and all that they do. Magical, I've watched them for quite a while now. They've gone through a couple of iterations in teams. I think the last person that they had was Benita actually playing for them, and now they brought in Marie into the roster. So they look really great. I think the rumors were they're going to get picked up by an organization soon, a top organization, and unfortunately, I haven't seen that yet because I think that rumor came out like a month ago. But if they haven't been picked up yet, I hope that they do now. They're an amazing team. Playing against GX3 for me was like a blast in the past. You call me the Counter-Strike 2005 guy? Well, GX3 with this roster was then back there. So it's Ali, it's Potter, it's Miss Harvey. You have Benita in there as well. It was just fun to watch, but just awesome to see Magical taking the series.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is kind of the I guess the state of like the all women's Counter-Strike / Valorant / gaming in general is you kind of have these teams sticking together for long periods of time. Competitors who have been I'll say the word relevant, but like at the top of their game or at their prime or whatever. Like obviously Potter has gone on to more talent work, and a lot of these ladies have found work in various spots around esports. And competing to them, I imagine is still near and dear to their heart because in a perfect world, everyone would have the same shine when it comes to this, but there's so many issues that women have to deal with in the gaming space that you're just not going to have the same level of entry into competition for female gamers, considering all the bullshit they have to deal with normally. So to see these teams sticking together and having success and also having good prize pools, this is huge. $50,000 tournament is massive. Huge. I mean, that's the same level of prize pool that the dudes were getting. And to go back to our homeboy before the break, I mean, this is exactly what I would like to see. Because personally, I fucking love females, and I have to say that outwardly, so everyone believes me. So very happy to see this. The competition is always good, and even the stylistic. I would love to hear their team comms, just shitting on each other. That would be amazing. Can you imagine? I would love to hear that, man. But it's great to see, and congrats to team, I guess Team Magical, or just Magical on its own, for being the FTW Summer Showdown champions. I hope they get a cool trophy as well.
Just to add,
shout out to all those ladies.
Just to add an Easter egg. So Magical, before they brought in Alexis Marie into the roster, they had a player with an L in there, which is why like all of their initials actually made out Magical, which was actually pretty cool in terms of a roster.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I see it now. That's genius.
My mind is blown. Blown. Okay.
Hey,
and
I
GX3
actually have I have a take when it comes to like women that compete in games. Like I see why the little stupid fucking 12-year-olds get mad about it. But me personally, I had this conversation actually a few days ago, last week, and I actually told one of my friends, I said, women are more competitive than men, and we're actually pretty fucking lucky that we're physically stronger than them and everything else. Because if that wasn't the case, women are going to dominate, and I feel like men are especially unfair when it comes to women getting into the competitive scene. Rainbow Six, we had a pro gamer that was a girl. It was Goddess, and Goddess was fantastic. And it was really unfortunate that my wife loved Goddess. She loves her. And it was really unfortunate. She played for Cloud9. So cool. It was unfortunate that every time she was on broadcast, and my first cast was hers too in Rainbow Six. No matter what great play she did, the chat made fun of her looks. Chat made fun of her because she's a woman. And it's so unfair. So you know what?
Easiest thing to do when you have no fucking opinions that are worthwhile.
Right, and she's such a great player too. She's so smart at the game. And
Great
the
person.
thing was, it was so sad and amazing person. She retired. And I can bet that the stress was more than 50% of the reason why that she never came back to the scene professionally. But you know what? $50,000 for an event like that. Hats off to Riot and everyone else that pulled this off, because I believe that those prize pools shouldn't just belong for just the regular tier 1 teams. Give them to the women as well, because I believe that there's a lot of women out there that can compete if they were given the same opportunities as guys. Because
not to mention didn't have to run the gauntlet of assholes. Like that's there's everybody in esports has haters, because people will see how you look or how you talk or your takes or an opinion you don't like or whatever, and they are going to jump on whatever is easiest for them to try and tear you down. And when it comes to ladies, I mean, the first thing that they always go after is how they look or their mannerisms or the fact that it's lull women or whatever. It's just baseline shitty sexism that has, that they just essentially cannot get around because of their own insecurities. In fact, I have a little snippet for you guys to read. I actually went back and this is perfectly relevant. A 2015 study found that lower skilled male players of Halo 3 were more hostile towards teammates with a female voice, but behaved more submissively to players with a male voice. Higher skilled male players, on the other hand, behaved more positively towards female players. The authors argued that the male hostility towards female gamers in terms of evolutionary psychology, writing, female-initiated disruption of a male hierarchy incites hostile behavior from poor-performing males who stand to lose the most status. If I can boil that down to something that these people can understand, is you're a little beta bitch. Okay, get better and stop fucking projecting your bullshit insecurities onto women unfairly. Okay.
Yes. Like I said, men are lucky. Men are lucky that women didn't surpass us yet, but it's gonna come soon when they just fucking dominate shit, because competitively we don't even hold a candle to them. But go ahead, Moses.
Yeah, no, it's a game recognizes game situation. High skilled dudes are going to look at a team like Magical, a team like GX3, look at their accomplishments and respect it. Whereas shit tier gold and platinum players are saying, women getting their own tournament, that's ridiculous. If it was all males, it's just it's bullshit. So all I can say is congratulations to team to Magical and GX3 and everybody else that had the benefit of participating in the tournament, and I hope to see more of that in the future. Moving on to the sausage fest that is the rest of Valorant. G2 win blast. So it's not a shocker. Obviously G2 is probably the best team in the world. I don't think you can say otherwise at this stage. We might have trolled a little bit with the player ranking or the power rankings last week, because the answer is obvious. They won every Ignition tournament they played in. They have 7 victories or something like that. So it's interesting to see how G2 has done so well. We also have the Pulse Invitational, the Mamba mode gaming. They've done well also. So the Pulse Invitational rather also took place. So let's start with that. The Mamba mode gaming. They performed quite well. In fact, it was a bit of a surprise. You guys both covered it, so I want you guys to take the reins on this one. Let's roll some of that the Mamba B-roll, and Vansili, we'll start with you. What do you think?
Yeah, so first off, when I talked about teams that need to get picked up, right? Mamba Mode's another one too, but I didn't mention them because I love their logo, I love who they are, and I want this to continue as a brand. They're a team that came into this event with a new player coming into as well. We did playing as a Viper on top of that too, when we talked about Viper not being as useful. Look at that. She's been awesome playing on bind on defense. Mamba Mode in general showed and proved us wrong through many matches, through many iterations, and a best out of 5 grand finals that actually went down to the wire, up to the last map when Mamba Mode Gaming had 1 map in hand. You got to also give it up to Luminosity Gaming on playing with 2 new players into this event and still making it this far and bringing it down to the last and final map. But Mamba Mode Gaming, they definitely surprised me in how they played this event. Belly?
You know what, Vansili, it all goes back to the interview we had with Steel on this show. Steel, one of the things that I remember that he said, clear as day, he said there are some players that aren't in the top 8 that are just fucking ridiculous at the game. And you know what? They're not going to be recognized yet because of friendships or whatever, and them not having that CS background. But I believe that there's just way more talent out there. This event showed us that. When we saw Morning Light later bot second win all these teams, Luminosity, Mamba Mode Gaming, they all did stuff that we have not seen before in Valorant. Whether it was the Fast and the Heavy, the Fast and Furious gameplay from KZ, combined with the theory crafting when it comes to just strategies that we saw coming from Critical and we did from Mamba Mode. It was beautiful. I love seeing Viper in play. We saw a lot of Killjoy. We saw a lot of things that we might see in the meta when it comes to the top 8 teams. Now, I honestly believe that coming into this event, a lot of people were looking at it like, oh yeah, you know, the top 8 teams tonight can be playing, so it's gonna be fucking trash, right? It was everything but that. It was so competitive to the point to where it's like Silly, Lex, and I were going crazy in our group chat. Shout out to Lex, I miss him, man. Working with him was a blast. But we were going crazy to where Silly even put up a screenshot like, this is what's going on because we didn't expect this with these games. So, Stellar on screen right there. I want to give a shout out to every single one of these players. They played lights out. And you can tell that whenever there was a 1v1 or a 2v2 with a lot on the line, whether it's the map or, you know, economy, these teams did not want to lose. They put on the best show possible. So calling them T2 was kind of unfair to me. I feel like that's disrespectful at this point in time. But you saw some tier 1 talent in this gameplay. I'll tell you that. No cap.
For sure.
That's
for sure.
The line is thin. The line is very thin between tier 2 and tier 1. And really, I think if you were to mix in, let's say like the Gen Gs, Immortals, like those guys who are kind of like the 4th, 5th, 3rd, like those types of guys. Now, obviously, they've all had their individual victories, so I don't mean to single those guys out. But if you put them in the mix in this tournament, I think that, you know, results might not be this, you know, might not be too different. So there is a thin line. But from the top end of the of all of Valorant and T1 to like the top end of the tier 2 scene, there is a significant skill gap, and that's based on just the quality of players or the practice or the whatever you want to call it, the composition, funding. A lot of these guys are not getting the full-time funding as the guys in T1 and whatnot. So it is what it is. Van, so you have more?
Yeah, just wanted to add to the fact as well that being able to witness an event like Pulse Series the last weekend was amazing for these teams too, because when we had a discussion with Veli and Lex actually brought it up. Like when you're looking at the type of compositions or the type of even strategies that these teams are actually bringing, it's brand new. We don't see it in the tier 1 competition either. So I love seeing that fact that not only did they bring in a Viper into the competition, it's also due to the fact that when I looked at the majority of the tournament, there wasn't actually that many Phoenixes or Rays being played in this tournament. It was a lot of Reyna. Reyna was probably the agent that was the duelist that was picked the most out of all these maps, with the exception of maybe China Win playing a Rays or Phoenix going into what the tier 1 teams are playing. But seeing how they've evolved from a Reyna, adding a Viper, or even using Breach with a Reyna on top of that in terms of their composition was beautiful to watch, and it was refreshing to the eye based on all the other tournaments that we watched so far for the Ignition series.
For any Viper enthusiasts, I had to jump in there real quick. We did from Almamo Gaming that won first place. He used her exclusively on 2 maps, I believe, Split and Bind. His setups with her were fantastic. You have to watch the VOD. You have to see what he did, because he showed that Viper is viable in competitive matchups, and some of the strats were actually genius. So watch the VOD. You won't be disappointed. Trust me.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely. I think that the tier 2 scene needs more of the. I hope that like a Pulse or another like a name that we've heard a couple of times, like even Nerd Street Gamers, they do their monthly 10 grand tournaments, to have those become the tier 2 circuit and to see these guys more regularly. That would be really exciting to me as well, just to have more eyes on them, and realistically, as more people get involved in Valorant, get interested in Valorant, as much as we want to watch the top level teams, there's going to be guys coming up through these ranks, guys like Venerated, who obviously have a lot of skill, but don't have the CS skills that the top guys might have. So to have them kind of incubate in these teams and then move on from that, which is probably part of Luminosity's business strategy, by the way, is take a bunch of up and coming guys and then try and sell them off a little bit later when their buyouts come around and they're owning. So we'll see what happens with that. So to kind of circle back to where we were just at the top of that last break, let's talk about G2. So G2 won again. They won every single Ignition Series event in EU. which I believe was a total of 7 total victories, all the way from like the Twitch Invitational to the most recent one, which was the Twitch Valorant Invitational. So I guess it's bookending of two tournaments. This one was the Blast one, however, not the rivals. So they did very well, as they always do, marching all the way to the final, and they had actually quite a close match between themselves and Fun Plus Phoenix, who came through the lower bracket, beating out Team Liquid 2-0. I guess we'll start with just the exterior of this. And what do you guys think about Team Liquid's performance really quick? Any concerns for you guys as far as how Team Liquid's been performing in these types of tournaments?
I've been concerned for a month. I voiced my opinion about my concern on this show. I've been very vocal about it. I just don't see Team Liquid progressing. I was worried, and I said, once that tournament happened and FPX jumped over them, I said it's going to be that way forever now. And my biggest worry is that this team won't be able to come back and not just go against G2 for their battle for first place, but it's now they have a blockage from getting into second place. The team, they're getting knocked out in groups. Something is seriously wrong. And whether it's a role change, roster change, whatever change it might be, it has to be looked at. It might be next week, whatever. But not next month. I feel like it's too late now. They are who we think they are at this point.
I think Liquid
it's sad.
They need some more time. I mean, I don't want to jump too heavily into Liquid. I just kind of want to I'll get your quick opinion on that. What do you think? Do you think there's any cause for concern for Liquid, Van?
I don't think so at this point, too. This event for the Blast Invitational and also the Ignition Series for Liquid is they tried something new. When you're looking at the European scene so far in terms of Valorant, it's always been G2 at the top. Let's try to run something similar as G2 plays and try to beat them at it and try to distract them or whatnot. But Liquid into this event here went into something totally different. They went into the Cloud9 route where they actually wanted to try to go triple duelists. And not only that, they went triple duelists with no smokes. Why? Because of Breach. Breach getting that extra flash. They wanted to see if we work with 3 flashes and 3 duelists, will this actually help for us to be able to win rounds, win maps, win series? Short end of the stick, or the short answer is no, unfortunately, at this point in this tournament, because they kind of went 0-2 in most of their matches, but I got to condemn them for trying something new. They still put up good fights against their opponents as well, but I think, for example, if after going triple duelists and it shows a little bit of results in terms of how they're executing, maybe the answer is not having a breach and actually using an Omen for smokes to still have a flash, or to just go with Brimstone with the orbital strike and the smokes too. So I think they're in a testing phase, and so far when you're looking at these events in Europe, there's not many of these lower tier, or I wouldn't call them lower tier exactly, but any other open tournaments rather, that allows these teams to just want to participate and want to play. Where you're looking at all these events, it's always like high-end Ignition Series or high prize pool, where it's like they're always going to get the limelight or the spotlight of a bad performance means you're a bad team. And I don't think that should be seen that way, is because you got to find time to practice and try things out. I think this was the right moment. Even though it was a high prize pool and a big production for Blast Series, when do you actually have a chance to practice what you're trying to scrim and put into place? And I think that moment for them was the time to try it. And I got to give him props for that.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, I mean, I think that for G2, it's now who's gonna come for us next. Now we had a very close final, but let's take a look at the playoff. Some of the clutch rounds that we saw from Mixwell and everything else. It was just it's cool to see. I mean, it's difficult to talk about G2 when they win so much, because like it's not really a matter of dissecting. It's just like, wow, look how good they are. They just keep winning all the time. It's I'm not going to call it boring, but it's not to me interesting to talk about how they win everything. But what's more interesting to me, and which is why I wanted to kind of preface this discussion with the chat about Liquid, is who is going to be the closest. And I guess if you're looking at it overall, it's Fun plus Phoenix right now, but that's essentially like a super team in the sense that they took the 2 halves of 2 good teams and mushed them together, and they still can't beat G2, even though it came down to the wire. So I wonder. Close. Yeah, I wonder when it comes to the future, Van Silly, how are teams going to approach this? Because right now, through all the different formats that Europe had, and some of them were garbage, G2 continued to win. So it's very exciting for me to see that this team, through adversity as well as all the other crap that the European scene has gone through when it comes to these tournaments, we're still able to win early games, multiple games in a day, multiple series in a day. The death of someone's father during a tournament, like it's, the adversity and the ability for this team to keep winning is really incredible. So, I mean, what is to come of European Valorant with G2 always at the helm?
It's no doubt in my mind, definitely, that G2, they, under all types of adversity, are always going to be number one so far. We have seen them at number one, getting on top out of all these tournaments, but FPX is getting closer and closer. I mean, like you said,
right,
bringing this to a fifth map in a series, and it was just small, costly mistakes that shows that G2 was able to edge forward. Zipan, that tournament was amazing. He's been a star player for quite a while that nobody really talks about because he's being overshadowed by G2 and all of their trophies that they're always getting in all of these tournaments. So yes, G2 is always going to be that number one, but FPX is so close behind. What could be missing? Maybe it's the fact that maybe they're going to need more support in terms of behind the scenes for FPX Phoenix, right? For G2 maybe to stay at the top, even on top of that. So bring in an analyst, bring in a coach, something like that to help FPX Phoenix or even Liquid see what's going on in the way that they're trying to practice and set up their strats. That still doesn't go well versus a team like G2. And how do you tweak that? I think at that moment, it's a double-edged sword for our organization. It's like, yes, they kind of need a coach because they need to evolve. But secondly, there's no coaching fucking tools yet available for Valorant to have a coach in the server with you to be able to coach and help the team out. So it comes to investments of, are you ready to invest into that coach now? Or do you want to wait until the tool is ready and then try to prove your worth there?
There's some questions about composition as well, and I know that we're talking about Liquid and their underperformance and stuff like that, but they did, however, try out a lot of new things in this tournament as well, and I think that's important. And they did get some accolades on Twitter, I believe from Mixwell, saying that he was encouraging them to try new things, and I think that's important for the scene in general. Is you need to sometimes falter and try things in order to see what can possibly work, and if you're going to topple a team like G2, you might have to be going to that kind of fringe ideology when it comes to team composition. So let's take a look at some of the team compositions we did see. So this was a cool little bit of this tournament, was the agent reveals. So in this case, we have a Jet, an Omen, a Killjoy, a Sova, and I believe it was a Sage the first time around. David P obviously grasping desperately onto the corpse of Sage. So obviously David P has got to be still in his transition period as Riot murdered his favorite agent. And on the Fun Plus Phoenix side, we had Raze and Omen. I should have remembered this from the pre-show, so I gotta just take it down. Yeah, absolutely. And then come on, there we go, Cypher. And what was the last one? Breach. Okay. So I love this. There's no, well, I guess there is some. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. It's non-standard. But this is kind of what's happening with the way that Riot has been balancing. We're going to see a lot of this shakeup here as well. Oh geez, is that a wild Brimstone? Oh my goodness, I haven't seen Brimstone in a while. As far as the agent compositions are concerned, I'm glad to see some experimentation, especially towards the end of the Ignition series. So I guess, Fansu, we'll start with you. From a composition standpoint, do you think that there was something that obviously wasn't working or something that you found interesting?
The interesting part for me, and I think the biggest question mark, was how was Breach going to be implemented in all these compositions, right? I think Ange playing as the Brimstone is something that, he loves, and he was actually able to almost be MVP of this tournament as a Brimstone player, which would have been tough, right? So aside from the Breach, I think everything else is pretty much normal, because we were looking at the different maps that they played, right? So you have this Raze, for example, in this situation for Zipan. It was on Bind. We see a lot of Raze on Bind still with the old mentality. So I don't think there's anything extraordinary out of this. It's just, how does Breach play into the lineup? And so far, it's just like a bunch of retweets of 6 flashes going back and forth. And then once the flashes are done, then it's back to the basics, right? So I think Breach is cool in terms of like the retake abilities that Breach could bring and offer with the flashes and the Rolling Thunder. But aside from that, I think he's not that much of that person that's going to be able to put up high numbers on your attacker side.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, do you think that G2, when it comes to their long-term Valorant legacy, is the Ignition series going to be just a building block, or do you believe that this is going to be kind of the team to watch, or like the spooky team? Like G2 has obviously had a lot of success in a lot of different games, and has significant long-standing success. I believe there's a little game called Rainbow Six Siege where they performed quite well in the past. Yeah, so I mean, G2 has this organizational history of just being dominant. So I hope that for the sake of the scene that they have their own era versus rather than, you know, they just won a bunch of Ignition series tournaments in the beginning and then eventually got washed out. I would love to see this continue. I think so. I think they're gonna have a lot. So we do have one other question when it comes to G2, and we can see some of the results that came out from this as well. This is their results. They did drop 3 maps in 7 tournaments, so I'm a little concerned about their consistency. A bunch of losers, but yeah, and it's all you need to see is, like, you know, championship announcement after championship announcement. They did win all of their Ignition series tournaments. That's the end of the discussion. You can say nothing else. There's no assailing their position, as you can see here from everyone bowing down to them in this whatever. I'm not even sure what meme this is, but there it is. That's that. G2's on top, and I guess where can they improve? Maybe coaching staff. And Mixwell had some thoughts on that.
Is it time to start looking at more background staff, coaches, analysts coming in to start giving you guys that little bit of an extra edge, or are you going to keep with the kind of loose style?
I mean, it's not that we're not searching for people. We've been searching for a coach for a long time, and there's people that actually applied for it, and they've sent their homework to us to review it and choose who do we want. So it's not like we are saying we don't want a coach. We're not finding the right one, you know? So as soon as we find someone that we like, or someone that fits our playstyle, it's gonna be in G2 for sure.
So they're just looking for the right fit. I mean, it would have to be, I could be their coach. I mean, they're already doing a really good job. Like, I'll just come in and with a clipboard and, like, I'll do the myth routine, put like all right, 110% boys. Yeah, no, big motor, big effort. Everyone keep going. Doing what you're doing it. And they'll be like, good job, coach. And I'll be like, good job, team. And then I'll get to host the trophy, and it'll be awesome. So yeah, there it is. The Kings of Europe. We won every single Ignition Series tournament in our region. And what else do you need to say? That's that, right? So who do you think if there was a team out there, Van Silly, that could topple them, like in a vacuum, who do you think it would be?
In a vacuum today, Sentinels.
Okay,
I think that would be beautiful to watch.
Sentinels is your pick as well. Okay, I'll say Sentinels too, because we're not going to see it at least until 2022. So hopefully,
don't say that, man.
Hopefully soon.
Hopefully soon. My heart breaks.
Yeah. Hopefully sometime soon. But who knows? Who knows what will happen? Maybe we'll have we'll have to do like my idea, which is obviously the logistically easiest to accomplish, is put them out in like the middle of the ocean on like a floating platform, like an old abandoned oil drilling platform with like a Google Fiber line running across the ocean. It'll be cheap. Don't worry about it. Riot, hit me up. I got lots of great ideas. Yeah, their own bubble, man. In Disneyland. Yeah. Or actually, where would they put them? I guess they put them in like an abandoned Chuck E. Cheese or something like that. You know, or somewhere where they would feel like
Sir Scoots' island that he was talking about having.
That's it.
Let's put him in his backyard.
Maybe we can just bring everybody
He's got a
there.
pool and stuff.
Yes.
Man.
Oh my God, his backyard is pip. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, that's what happens when like all your plants are fake. They just look perfect all the time. I'm not sure if his plants are fake, but in Arizona, like you're in the desert, like you can't be having like a lush yard and all that stuff. Like you want some nice rocks, maybe some desert plants, and a pool that just evaporates. You have to keep filling up with your hose. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Shout out to Scott and his projected desert island or his new nation. Maybe one of those a band like, and where is it? Dubai. They have those islands that are like shaped like palm trees.
Palm trees,
Easy.
yes, in Dubai. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Or like they're variously unfinished office buildings and stuff like that. We just got to find somewhere that's like so Bond villain-esque that they would never expect a gamer tournament to be there.
That would be dope, actually.
That's it. We ran out of tape. So Veli, Vansili, that's going to do it for the show this week. I want to say thank you again for jumping in and joining us here. Always a pleasure to have you guys on the show. The search where in the world is Lauren Pansy Scott continues. We will find her. She's wearing a red trench coat and glasses. Yeah, that's true. She's been doing the Pro League. Shout out to Lauren. We miss you. Don't forget to follow Do Not Peek on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. Thank you to Reddit for always providing us with your horrible opinions that we can laugh at. And don't forget, next week, 11 a.m. Pacific time, Tuesday, we'll be back with more Valoranting. So until next week, we'll see you guys out there.